Hey everybody, it's Beth. Today I'm making some mason jar shelf sitters. I used these two mason jar calendars from Dollar Tree. This scrapbook paper was from JoAnn's, salt and pepper shaker from Dollar Tree, super jumbo craft stick, some florals and greenery, Parisian and plaster chalk paint, Mod Podge, and hot glue. First thing I did was remove the little calendar pieces and heated up the glue from that little stand on it, pulled those off, used a razor blade to scrape off most of the paper, and then sprayed both of those with some water, let it sit on there for a minute, and then used the razor blade again to get off any of the excess paper on there, and then gave them a quick sanding. Next, I took both of those mason jars, traced them on the back of the scrapbook paper, and cut those out. And then I painted the backs of the mason jars with the plaster chalk paint. I just did one coat. And then I painted both of the salt and pepper shakers with the plaster chalk paint as well. And I did paint a tiny bit on the edge of the front of the mason jars. Next, I took my super jumbo craft stick, cut it in half, put it on the top. This will be the lid. And then I rounded the other edge so both ends were rounded. And then used my Fisker shears to trim that up. And then I traced that piece I had cut onto the other half to make two lids. After they were both cut, I gave them a quick sanding. And then I painted both of those craft sticks with the Parisian gray chalk paint, and I did one coat front and back just because you'll see a little bit of the back. And then used my ruler and a pencil and made some lines on both of the lids and then blended it in with my finger. Next, I added Mod Podge to the front of both of my little mason jars. And the reason I painted a little bit of the front was just in case I cut the paper too short. After I had the layer of Mod Podge covering both of those, I added my scrapbook paper and smoothed it out with my hands. And then placed down some parchment paper, used my travel iron, and iron both of those on, which dries the Mod Podge. Next, I took my sanding block and sanded off any excess scrapbook paper around the edges, and then did an outer layer covering the scrapbook paper. And then I used my heating tool to dry that. Next, I took the lids and hot glued them to the top of each of the mason jars. I then decided to add some twine to underneath the lid, so I just wrapped it around a few times and then tied it in a bow, and I did that on both of those. And then I decided to add some Gorilla Grip glue as well, so I added that and hot glue to one of the sides of the salt and pepper shakers, and then glued those right to the back of the mason jars, making sure they were flush with the bottom. And then I trimmed up all of my florals and greenery, and I was at first just going to add them and just let them all sit in there, but they weren't sitting how I like them. So once I had them filled with the amount I wanted, I just took that whole bunch of flowers and greenery and wrapped some floral tape around all of the stems so they would all stay in place. Put them in the salt and pepper shakers, and that is it. I think they turned out really pretty. Thank you guys so much for watching.